The importance of us knowing our history, we need to understand who we are and where we've been and how far we've come. We need to know whose shoulders we're standing on, and it is important that we tell our own story. We have to tell our own story. We cannot depend on other people to do that. And I think once we start looking at our own records and our own family, we realize that they did more than we could ever think about, more than we ever expected, that they've lived through turbulent times, and when doing that, then they have also laid the groundwork for us to be who we are today. And I think a lot about the fact that my great-grandmother was a slave. That's not so far removed from me. And then here I stand with a PhD, coming from a lady who didn't have her freedom in her early life, who couldn't read, who couldn't write, couldn't go to school, but yet I could. So it makes me a stronger person, and I think that understanding our genealogy and trying to make sure we know who our family is more important than anything we could ever imagine. Well, I think it's very important that the young people get involved, because then they can too understand how much sacrifice it has taken for them to even be able to do what they do. I think our young people now really believe that whatever they have, they're entitled to. And yes, we're entitled to it, but we fought for that entitlement. And so sometimes I think we have to start with them young, and we have to get them interested, even if you just had family pictures, and you can talk to them about the people who are in those pictures and where they came from and what they did. Take them to the cemetery and show them where their ancestors are. Just sometimes I've had people who bring their grandchildren with them to the archives, and the grandchildren's job is to do the photocopying, to take the record and photocopy. Sometimes they'll teach them how to go through the reel. If they can read, go through a reel of film, or look at the computer and read the records and give them an assignment in which to read. But it is just important that we try to take it a little bit at a time and to make sure that they are understanding the importance to them. And when you get somebody that's 17 and 18 years old, I don't think that taking them to a cemetery is going to do it, but I do think that if you find an opportunity in which you can talk about, well, my father was around with Martin Luther King, or my grandfather, if they know their history and know that their family were a part of that history, I think that'll help them to move on and understand it.